News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
KVNU News Time is 4:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. 1 out of 40 children under 8 years old is diagnosed with autism. And northern Utah and southern Idaho have some of the highest occurrences in the nation, according to the Catalina Lovey Foundation. On KVNU's For the People program on Tuesday, Executive Director Jorge Manon Moreno said of those children, only a fraction get help.
The problem is that only 24.5% of those children are getting services.
The real problem is the lack of services for those children and families. So to assist local families, the Catalina Lovey Foundation offers autism services therapy in the form of early intervention, applied behavior analysis, family and professional training, and home and school intervention. The foundation, based in Smithfield, is a 501c3 nonprofit. As a fundraiser, next month they are sponsoring a sock fashion show on June 17th at 6 p.m. at Logan High School.
So our local company donated us like 500 socks.
Oh, wow.
And so we have to find 500 models, 500 people that can... You get to the show there, we give you a pair of socks. You walk in the, what is it called? Cat?
Oh, the catwalk.
Catwalk. You keep the socks, and then you can win prizes.
There will also be Zumba, food, and dance at the event. You can register by calling 435-881-5951. The foundation is named after Jorge's daughter, Catalina, who would be 20 this year. She graduated from Franklin County High School in Preston and had been working with special needs and autism patients. After working 3 shifts in a row, she fell asleep while driving home.
She was going back home when she had a car accident over here in Logan, 10th West Airport Road. And she passed away.
I'm sorry.
And so after that, we exchange our tears for service and do what Catalina told us to do with true love and joy.
You can find out more about the organization at CatalinaLoveyFoundation.net. KVNU News Time is 4:07. Weather tonight, 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms this evening, then partly cloudy after midnight, low in the upper 40s. Partly cloudy Thursday, slight chance of rain showers in the morning, then a 50% chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon, high temperature in the mid-70s. It was 74 today. It's 64 right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. Bring back the sounds you've been missing. Schedule a free hearing evaluation with Dr. Paul Daines at Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
My hearing started to go right around the same time my wife started naming off all the upgrades she wanted done on the house. I figured it was selective hearing. To be honest, I was actually pretty upset when it was suggested that I might need hearing aids, but ultimately I knew it was time for a change.
At Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology, we can help you regain the confidence that you're hearing life the way it was meant to be heard.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Visit CacheHearing.com for details.
KVNU News Time is 4:08. Breaking news, Cache County has issued a proclamation declaring a local emergency in the county. This is due to flooding that does require that emergency assistance be provided by Cache County. And this was signed by Cache County Executive David Zook. We will have David in the studio next hour to tell us more about this here on KVNU's For the People program. It was supposed to be a simple issue, but it turned into one of the more contentious battles, both inside and outside the Capitol. Even today, one group is still working hard to overturn the new Utah state flag. Lawmakers finally agreed on one during the last legislative session, and it will take effect next year. But getting to that point took time and money. KUTV obtained public records showing the state spent $483,305 on the task force, which was managed by local PR consulting firms. If you do the math, the total spent works out to about 14 cents per Utahn. There's also the question of time. Some accuse lawmakers of wasting it on this issue. The old flag isn't going away under the bill, and an executive order from Governor Cox, it will still fly at certain times and places. KVNU News Time is 4:10. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
News and current events. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Some companies will quote you a lower price just to get you to commit to having them perform a service for you, but not John Hanson, the Duck Hunter. When you see coupons or prices advertised for services, we highly recommend you call and ask a lot of questions. Find out what other costs might be added, what type of equipment and experience they have, and what you can expect from their finished result. This tip will get you better service and a good price. For a free consultation on air duct cleaning and dryer vent line cleaning, call the Duct Hunter, 770-4813.
We are the Duck Hunter.
All right, dads, let's test your knowledge. Ready? What does this sound? Some of the more experienced parents recognize it as the sound a young teenager makes when he's done something he regrets. Listen. Kind of a sad sound, isn't it? But if you recognized it, then you know exactly what to do. Listen, because that's when together you can both figure out how not to make the same mistake again.
This message from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cash Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have two guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is Wednesday, May 17th. More than halfway through the month. Went by fast. I'm Jason Williams. Bill Walter here in the studio as well. Got a big show for everyone today. As you heard during the news there, just minutes ago, Cache County, via press release announcing that County Executive David Zook declaring a proclamation of local emergency for Cache County. This is due to flooding. And this is, in a way, just a technical thing that has to happen. A declaration of emergency has to take place in order to get access to certain state funds and even federal funds. But this is a sign that on top of some, so far, luckily, minor damage that's been caused to roadways, culverts, even some businesses and personal property, homes here in Cache Valley, it is anticipated to get worse. And the warm temperatures this week are your big red flag if you've seen the rivers out there. So Mr. Zook will be with us in hour 2 of today's show for our county hour. So we'll have a chance to talk to him about this, talk about what's going on out there and what happens next. Also how residents can be a part of feedback and keeping an eye on flooding as well. So stay tuned for hour 2 of today's show. Here in hour 1, though, it is time for our monthly Speak to the Mayor segment with Logan City Mayor Holly Daines here in the studio. And this week, Mayor Daines brought a guest with her into the studio from Logan City, Teresa Harris joining us as well. And Teresa, I just have to give a quick shout out because I've been teasing you about getting you in the studio forever, and Mayor Daines made it happen. So thank you, Mayor Daines.
Well, an election made it happen.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what's important. That's a big part of her job, and so
sure,
she wants to make sure she gets the word out about elections.
I'm excited to talk about this because one of my biggest frustrations in the United States right now, not just here in Utah, is we have so much energy for a presidential race next year. Well, it'll start this fall. But then the municipal races come around, and so many people just kind of check out. And yet these are the elected officials who make decisions that can more directly impact your day-to-day life. Sure, the president can start a war, but city council representatives, for example, county council representatives, they can put a stop sign up that throws your commute off. They can, and a lot of planning and growth decisions happening at the city level now. Well, as long as the state legislature continues to allow that, at least, we'll see on this upcoming session. But before we get started, Mayor Daines, I just wanted to give a quick shout out for our listeners and for all of you at the city. Coming to the station today, a little closer to start time of the show than I prefer. I got stopped in traffic in an intersection on First East by a fender bender accident. Luckily, it looked like no one was injured. But when I saw that I had come up on this and I was trapped at this point, there was no way to change where I was going to be waiting until the accident was cleared. And what I saw was so amazing. Logan City Police arrived just after I had stopped at the intersection by the cars in the way, and they got out. The cars arrived. They were out. The wreckers arrived. And I happened to look at my clock as I stopped because I'm worried about making it here on time at this point. And 7 minutes. It was 7 minutes between the Logan City Police officers arriving and the vehicles being cleared from the intersection so traffic could continue. And granted, in 7 minutes, traffic had backed up quite a bit. But 7 minutes, that we take that kind of thing for granted. And what really was notable to me is there was no communication between the officers when they arrived. They weren't talking, okay, where are you going to go, where are you going to... They knew. They got out of their cars, and everyone kind of went to a post. And they had traffic moving. They were directing traffic, putting themselves at risk there in the intersection, to say the least. And the other officers were helping the wreckers get the vehicles out of the way. And then they were just done. And everybody moved off. It was honestly, it was quite a thing to see. And I just wanted to throw that out there because we do take that type of thing for granted. And yet it's happening behind the scenes every day.
That's
somewhere.
True. And it's actually National Law Enforcement Week this week. So that's a perfect shout out because this is the week that we recognize those folks that, really play an important role in our communities in public safety and helping us. People may see them occasionally and say, oh, they gave me a ticket. But, their role is to help people and to keep people safe. And we have a really good team here in the city, and they really do an excellent job.
Sure.
So
and
a shout out to them is right.
Honestly, easily hundreds of people positively impacted by that intersection being cleared within 7 minutes. That's no exaggeration, and just really, it was a cool thing to see, and just so organized and swift. And anyway, that is actually a great segue because we're here to talk municipal elections with Teresa Harris joining us here in the studio as well, and that is something Logan has had great success with as well. In my time here on the show and my time as a resident of Cache Valley, I don't remember there ever being an election oops. It's just been a smooth, streamlined process, and it's extremely accessible. And that also doesn't happen without planning, right, Teresa?
That's correct. There is a lot of planning, and it starts now. So as you mentioned, that municipal election is very important. And this year's election is for 3 council seats that we'll have this year. So there's 3 openings on the municipal council, and filing starts June 1, June 1st through the 7th. So it's coming right up. That is,
and now as city recorder, you handle all of this, right? From the filing and making sure that's all done by the books, but then you also, oversee a team actually orchestrating, carrying out the election itself.
That's correct. This year, though, is a little different. We have contracted with the county. So have other
center,
yes,
right?
So have other cities in the county, cities and towns. So they will be doing. They'll be sending out the ballots, and they will be going back to the county for processing. But the municipal, the clerks and recorders in the county will be doing all the noticing. They'll be doing all the financial reporting and all of that. So we still run the election. We still are the election, over the election, but the county will be helping with the processing of the ballots.
That is, now, does that save, I know the county gotten a lot of praise from the state. We had Mr. Yeah, I forget his name.
Bradfield.
That's right. I almost went with the state elections guy. But Jess Bradfield's been in the studio talking about the election center and what it meant, and the state has recognized Cache County for doing that. Does that take a bit of the load off of cities in municipal years to have that election center to process things?
Yeah, I mean, so we won't count the ballots. We won't process the ballots. We won't be doing that. So they will do that at their election center. At the airport is where they do that. And so they will do all that part of it, which is new this year for us.
It's going to be interesting to see, and I'm excited about that election center and what it might mean for maybe, especially smaller cities. They'll be able to maybe put a little bit more into the front end of the election, not having to worry about that back end as much, and maybe we can get some more people paying attention. It's going to be months before you start seeing the signs up for candidates and things like that. The filing period is a week long, right?
Right, June 1st through the 7th, and that does have to be done at City Hall, at Logan City Hall, in person.
That's
and
right.
so I'll have all the appropriate paperwork there in my office, and they need to come and see me. Whoever's interested in filing needs to do that. And those interested in filing must be a U.S. citizen, of course, and then be registered voter of Logan City, 18 years or older, and a resident of Logan for the last year.
That is, I didn't know about that requirement. That's, this is 3 open council seats. It's going to be hopefully a big, robust debate. We won't know until we see the candidate filings and how that comes in, right? But this does, just to stress this for listeners, these are the decisions a city council member weighs throughout a year or a term, if you want to look at it that way instead, are really the things that impact our lives on a more daily basis. And so it deserves more attention, in my opinion, than even the presidential race gets. And the city does a great job of that as well. I know the city usually plans candidate town halls and meet and greet events and things like that. Behind the scenes, though, this has to election years. Do you bring in new staff for that, or do you have staff you can turn to and just sort of repurpose in an election year?
Yeah, so the staff that we've used in the past has been in-house staff from different departments. So that's what I do have a deputy recorder, but we do have used other staff from different departments to help if there's anything extra needed. So that's been helpful.
Do you have any horror stories from over the years of?
Teresa's so efficient and organized. No, there are never horror stories. It runs.
I plan ahead.
I honestly have been racking my brain trying to think if there's ever been.
I make lots of lists, and I just try to think ahead and plan it all out. Lots of treats for everyone, so they stay. I've had a great team that has helped make it all work out. So that's the most important part, is just lots of people to help. So
that is very cool.
But you think about how it's changed over the years. I mean, there used to be, precincts. There were voting stations in person all over the city. She had to organize all those people. They counted. They brought those ballots to City Hall where they'd be counted. So the vote by mail has really changed things, and maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
Vote by mail it's just a lot easier for the voter and for us as the election officer to for those ballots to come in.
Sure.
So, and that's, everyone does vote by mail. That's through the state of Utah. So everyone gets a ballot, and if they're registered, and then they, the convenience of that is they can mail it back in, or they can drop it at a drop box.
Sure.
And so it's just very convenient. But like, as the mayor mentioned, it has changed a lot over the years from when I started doing this to, finding poll workers, at all the different polling locations throughout the city, and having people, go to the polling locations and be able to vote in person. And it has really changed a lot
hopefully in a
to
way.
now vote by mail.
Do you see trends? Have you seen, do most of the ballots, I assume most of the ballots come back by mail, or are we seeing upticks in drop boxes?
I would say most come back by mail.
By mail, okay.
Yeah.
It really has streamlined the process, and we've seen, the data shows, though not as much as we'd like to see, vote by mail has increased turnout significantly throughout the state, not just here in elections in Cache County. Again, the candidate filing period begins June 1st, And campaigns probably won't get underway till mid to end summer once we know who the candidates are. But 3 city council races will be taking place this year. And for voters out there, an opportunity in Logan City to decide who represents you on the council in a year that, I mean, really the decisions facing Logan City right now and the county are going to determine life for the next 10, 20 years. We're dealing with so many growth issues, so many, the state, of course, trying to grapple with this, which means changes for the cities as well. It's an important time to weigh in on this, to say the least. So stick with us. It is Speak to the Mayor with Logan City Mayor Holly Daines in the studio, and joining us this week as well, City Recorder and Executive Secretary Teresa Harris. If you have a question about municipal races, 753-5868. We'll be back right after this.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Thursday on This Morning, America's First News, as the deadline for a potential default on U.S. debt looms. Since lawmakers have struggled to reach agreement, get ready for the political blame game. Also, we're snacking a lot more, sparked by the pandemic. Hear the companies making big bucks on a favorite new pastime, and how investors manage retirement accounts during high inflation. Thursday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. Maybe you're not sure how you'll make rent, or you lost your job. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light. Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need.
211, how can I help you?
Call or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected. Get help. A message from United Way and the Ad Council.
To protect her home and family in a disaster, Karen was willing to wade through water, mud, and insurance paperwork.
Yeah, I can do this.
You go, Karen! By simply understanding and updating what her insurance covers and doesn't cover now, she'll be better prepared no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. It's Speak to the Mayor, our monthly segment with Logan City Mayor Holly Daines. And we'll speak to the mayor in a bit. Right now, we're ruining the afternoon of.
No, you're not. I'm enjoying this.
Logan City Recorder and Executive Secretary Teresa Harris here in the studio talking about municipal elections. They get underway shortly with candidate filing period opening June 1st, running for a week. Once that closes, we'll know the candidates on the ballot, or excuse me, the candidates who have filed to be on the ballot, and then. If enough candidates file, there could possibly be a primary towards the end of summer before the general election in November. And that, of course, will be determined during the filing period. But we were just talking through the break. You have dates on potential primaries and things like that, but also you have some data from previous years, number of candidates and more. This is the stuff that makes me wish I had studied political science more and maybe even just went into teaching, because this is the fascinating, trying to decipher trends and what it might mean that this year we saw this many this year. But you have seen a lot. You've seen this for years now.
Right.
What do you think?
Well, I wanted to mention we do need seven to file to have a primary election, which would be held August 15th. So 7 need to file to hold a primary election, because there are 3 seats.
So just one more than 2 choices each seat, basically, right?
Right. So, and so I just wrote down, as you mentioned, some of the dates. So in 2015, it was a council-only election, and no primary was needed because only 4 filed. In 2017, it was a mayor and council election, and 10 filed for council. In 2019, it was a council-only election, 9 filed. In 2021, it was a mayor and council election. No primary was needed. Only 3 filed for council.
Oh, wow. That's
so.
And that doesn't track with the years that were the most politically volatile nationally or statewide, which is encouraging. That means that there is something local still to all of this. And as you mentioned, we do see more candidates filing in general in years that there is a mayoral election happening, and that won't be the case this go around. But still, 3 council seats. It's hopefully we see a lot of candidates. We have a question here, and I'm just going to answer this for the listener. Listener wanted to know if the city has discussed ranked choice voting pilots. That's something that's up to the state, right? A city can't just decide, well, we're going to try ranked choice this go around. That has to come from lawmakers, right?
Well, no. The council can talk about that. The mayor and council can talk about
really?
that, and yes, but we were told that the county said that they would not do a ranked choice voting. They would not support that, but they would not.
I think their equipment can accommodate it,
can
right?
accommodate it, right? Correct.
And there's kind of different programs that are needed, as I understand
we would need
it.
to find another county or some other way if we wanted to do ranked choice voting, to do it differently. Yeah. And so I don't know of any counties or any cities or towns in our county that are going to do ranked choice voting. I think at the last election there were a few that tried it.
Yeah.
But I don't think this time around there are any that are going to do it.
That was, and my mistake. I for some reason I assumed that with that pilot program the state had said we'll decide. But that's encouraging to know cities can explore it. But
I think they still can, and it's something that the council and that they can discuss it and talk about it. But our council or our county said that their equipment, it was something that we would have to find another way to do the election. That is, if we chose to do that.
And my prediction that will remain kind of a Salt Lake thing for a while. But we'll see. Great question, bringing that up though. Thanks, Eric, for that. We do have Nancy on the line. Oh no, we lost Nancy. It looks like. Nancy, if you're out there, sorry.
Maybe your question was answered. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it was a ranked choice voting question. Nancy, if you're out there, we lost you. I just turned and saw you were no longer on the line. Give us a call back, 753-5868. In the studio with us again, we have Logan City Recorder and Executive Secretary Teresa Harris and Logan City Mayor Holly Daines. It is Speak to the Mayor here on For the People, talking municipal races, which will get underway with candidate filing period opening June 1st, closing a week later. Then we'll know how many candidates have filed, and we'll know if there's going to be a primary or not. And then traditionally, at least, these municipal races really get underway mid to late summer, and you'll have some opportunity to get out and meet candidates at town hall events and more. But if you have a question about elections now, 753-5868, and we'll be back with more of Speak to the Mayor here on For the People right after the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:32, and the news is brought to you by U&I Furniture. Cache County has declared a local emergency in the county because of the excess runoff from streams and rivers and some minor flooding that has occurred. This particular request opens the way to request assistance and relief available from the state of Utah. KVNU's For the People has County Executive David Zook scheduled to be in studio next hour, so we hope to learn more about this afternoon. A mother who was convicted in Idaho in the deaths of her 2 children and a romantic rival has been indicted for a second time in Arizona, this time on charges that she conspired to kill her niece's ex-husband. Lori Vallow Daybell was found guilty last week of conspiring to kill her 2 youngest children and her 5th husband's previous wife. The case involved bizarre claims that her son and daughter were zombies and that she was a goddess sent to usher in the apocalypse. She was already facing a charge in Arizona of conspiring to kill her 4th husband, and now she's charged in a second indictment with conspiring to kill her niece's ex-husband. And a grand jury has indicted a man who is already charged in the stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students, allowing prosecutors to skip a planned week-long preliminary hearing that was set for late June. Brian Koberger was arrested late last year and charged with burglary and 4 counts of first-degree murder in connection with the November 13th, 2022 slayings of 4 students at a rental home near the University of Idaho campus. At the time, Koberger was a graduate student studying criminology at nearby Washington State University. A preliminary hearing had been scheduled for June 26th, but now that will be skipped, and the case will go directly to a district judge. KVNU News Time is 4:34.
The guys at UNI Furniture are grateful for all the snow we've been blessed with this winter, but they're ready for spring. Shop UNI's spring sale on mattresses. UNI Furniture's most talked about mattress is the copper-infused memory foam. It's by far the coolest and most responsive to touch mattress they've ever seen, and it's great for side sleepers and people with back issues. Come in for a demo. Whether it's a mattress, a full bedroom set, a comfy sectional, or just a chair, you'll always find a better buy at UNI Furniture. UNI Furniture, downtown Logan.
KVNU weather, mostly cloudy, 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms this evening, then partly cloudy after midnight, low in the upper 40s. Partly cloudy to start the day Thursday, and a slight chance of a shower in the morning, then chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon, 50% chance, high temperature in the mid-70s. It's been to 74. Right now it's 62 at KVNU. Enjoy 15% off all tree trimming services with Whole Tree Care. Right now is the best time to trim your trees and shrubs. Call 435-760-6587. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is Branch Office Administrator Whitney Heyer bringing you the daily financial market report on behalf of financial advisor Mike Arnold and Edward Jones. Stocks rose more than 1% as congressional leaders expressed cautious optimism that a debt ceiling deal can be reached within days. The negotiating teams for both parties agreed that defaulting is not an option and continue to work toward an agreement. Today, U.S. equities closed higher. The Dow closed up 409 points at 33,421. The Nasdaq closed up 158 points at 12,501. The S&P 500 closed up 49 points at 4,159. And in the bond market, 10-year Treasury yields are trading at 3.57%. The price of crude oil is up $1.89 at $72.75. And the spot price of gold is down $6.50 to $1,986.50. In stocks of local interest, Autoliv was up $1.51 at 86.43. Chevron was up $2.20 at 155.71. Dominion Energy was up 38 cents at 53.22. Home Depot was up $10.06 at 292.39. Kroger was up 32 cents at 49.25. Lowe's was up $7.98 at 207.20. McDonald's was down 69 cents at 293.46. Microsoft was up $2.94 at 314. Nucor was up $2.86 at 139.64. Philip Morris was down 37 cents at 93.49. And Walmart finished down 25 cents at 149.53. This has been today's financial market report brought to you on behalf of Edward Jones, member SIPC, and financial advisor Mike Arnold, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice at 135 North Main, Suite 102 in downtown Logan. If you'd like additional information, please contact our branch office at 753-2915.
It's true. Many of us spend more time thinking about what's for dinner than thinking about retirement. But if you think your retirement needs deserve more attention, Edward Jones agrees, and they can help. Together, they'll give your long-term retirement strategy the attention it deserves. Stop by your local Edward Jones office, one of 7 locations in Cache Valley. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Out beyond the
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. It is Speak to the Mayor here on For the People with Logan City Mayor Holly Daines in the studio, and of course City Recorder Teresa Harris joining us this month as well to talk about municipal races. Again, the election officially gets underway June 1st with candidate filing period opening. More information about that at the city website, loganutah.org. And that is something you have to do in person, not just an online form. So if you want to file June 1st, and then you've got about a week to do that, then the candidate filing closes, and we'll know how many candidates we have. And at that point, we'll know if there's going to be a primary late summer, or if we just head straight into the campaigns in the general election in November. So that is a rough recap of the election. So June 1st, mark that on your calendar if you know people interested in running for the 3 open city council seats. Then June 1st is the opening of candidate filing period. And Teresa, as city recorder, you also serve, you have another hat there at the city, which is executive secretary. And last question for you before we move on to the mayor, but do you have a favorite mayor?
I knew you were going to ask that.
That's a mean question.
That's the gotcha
ask.
journalism there, isn't it? Just trying to stir up.
You want her to come back on the show and you ask her. She's had so many good mayors to work for.
I really have.
I know.
I learned from each one of them.
I just had to put you on the spot at least once. And please come back, though.
I will, I promise.
So, Logan City Mayor Holly Daines here as well. And Teresa, it's funny. I try to avoid repeating myself, but it seems every month when we have the mayor in, the first thing I want to say to the mayor is there is so much happening in Logan City. We're never at a shortage of things to talk about. I'm not a Logan resident, but as a Valley resident who spends a lot of time in Logan, I just have to say the things that have changed and the projects underway or coming to completion or completed, it has been a really, really a time for Logan City that I would call a turning point. Does that hit you ever? Do you just sit back once in a while and allow yourself a pat on the back?
You know, instead of patting myself on the back, what I try and do is pat my team's back, because we have accomplished a great deal. But,
It's a lot.
I could not do it without the council on board to provide the funding. My amazing executive team that really is down in the trenches getting things done. So I do think we as a team have accomplished so much in the last 5.5 years. I am really proud of that. And, I came in with a vision of, some things we'd like to do. But again, putting that into practice takes a lot of work and detail. And again, my team has just been on board and been really amazing. So I am proud of what we have accomplished.
It really, as a resident, again, of the Valley, not Logan City, it's impressive to see. I say this because I started the show talking about this accident that had happened that had sort of stuck me there at the intersection for a while, and how quickly Logan Police Department got that cleaned up. And then, driving to the station, I passed the starting to look like a thing new fire station, which is really coming together quickly. The library, which almost looks done from the Main Street side at least, and then the Center Street Plaza, which is underway and on track as I understand it.
Right. We've had some delays on all of those with some weather delays and some supply chain issues. But
a lot of snow this winter.
Right. But the point is they're coming, and I was on site for the Plaza construction meeting today, and there are a few little, like these, the concrete caps that we need for some things the factory's just backlogged for probably another 4 weeks. So, we're probably pushing the projected ribbon cutting out till, a little more close to the end of July. I was hoping for end of June, but it is happening and it's coming together. The ice rink people are on site this week putting in the tubing.
Oh, wow.
After that, we can pour the cement surface, and sometimes it's also a series of things that you need to have one thing done before you can move on to the next. But again, we're really excited. I think people that drive by, they're like, wow, that's coming. And
you're starting to see what it's going to be.
Yeah,
I
know.
think.
And the library, again, a lot's going on inside as well. We're thinking, fall for that, also fall on the fire station. But again, we got some of these American Rescue Plan funds, because of the COVID crisis and some of the infrastructure funds. And we thought, we are going to be paying for those for 50 years. Let's put it into a project that's really critical for the community and that will service for 50
Sure.
years, and that's how we were able to build the fire station.
Which falls under infrastructure perfectly,
It
right?
does.
Right.
It exactly does. So, again, the former station had seismic issues, and that is not something you want to, if we do have an earthquake, and I pray every day that that won't happen, you do want those emergency responders to be able to get out and be, responding if we have an emergency.
Sure.
So,
And it was long overdue. I'd gone to a couple of the vaccine clinics in 2021, and I'd forgotten how tiny that station was.
it's true. And then we have the new 100 West Bridge that, again, the bridge is finished. They're completing the roadway from the bridge at 600 South all the way out to US 8991 there. And that will be, I think, a nice improvement to the transportation network as we, again, there's no perfect solution. There's no silver bullet to Main Street and the transportation problems. But, little incremental things can help. And that's kind of where we are right now, is trying to make incremental improvements. And we're also improving the north or the east-west connections. And we finally got a couple of agreements signed with the railroad. So we hope we can move on some of those intersections. So sometimes, and government does move slowly, and sometimes that's the frustration, but part of it is the public process.
Yeah.
And you
By
need,
design,
yeah,
almost.
exactly. You need time for public input and public approval of budgets. We're in our, approving our budget right now for fiscal year 24. The new fiscal year starts July 1, and, department heads and myself, we've put a lot of time into those budgets, and council will approve those, sometime in June. And that's kind of, those are our marching orders. If you want to get something done, that's what you have to do, is get it in the budget. So
Sure.
This is an important part of the planning process, as you decide how to allocate your resources.
That's it's a common misconception about this popped into my head because of a listener question here about road construction and the closure of Canyon Road that was announced briefly. A portion of Canyon Road will be closed to grind up the surface and put a new one down, as I understand it.
Yes, it's an asphalt smoothing system.
Really?
So again, it happens before chip and seal, but it's supposed to smooth the asphalt. Again, we always are trying to improve our roads and make them last longer, make them better in terms of, drivability for our citizens. So, but it should be a fairly short closure process, is my understanding. And we didn't end up doing it today. I think it got moved till tomorrow on Canyon Road, but it should just be a few hours, and they'll let people through different segments. We also try not to impact drivers and businesses as much as possible, but.
Well, and that speaks to, I think the misconception about a lot of this is that the city, city workers go out and they just look around and they're like, let's close this road and tear it up. But this is planned oftentimes, when possible, years in advance sometimes, right?
Exactly.
The scheduled maintenance. And
right.
things like
and, things like, I think people know occasionally, the manhole covers. And, as you drive over them, that gives you a bump if they don't continually get raised as we do chip and seal and raise the surface of the road. So, it just was taking so much time to get through those in the city that we ended up contracting with an outside entity, and they do sections of the city where they come and pour a little concrete collar. And then, so again, the manhole cover is even with the surface of the road instead of, several inches down because of the chip and seal layers. And that makes your drive smoother.
And safer, right?
Yeah.
Especially in bad weather. So thanks to the listeners for the questions. Others out there, if you have questions, 753-5868. And I know you've got a lot in your folder there you wanted to talk about today. What's next on the agenda here?
Well, I was just going to mention flooding. We're having a weekly meeting about flooding preparation. Again, I know the county, as you mentioned, declared that state of emergency. We're not there yet. The only flooding we've had is on the Blacksmith Fork River, and we think that may have peaked and gone back down. Now, the Logan River is just coming to peak the end of May, 1st of June. So we're watching that. In the flooding meeting today, I learned that from 1 to 3 a.m. is typically the highest water because
I learned that too this year.
Right,
I'd
when
never
it
known that.
melts and by the time it gets down. So, for instance, our police officers that are on duty, during the graveyard shift, we're assigning a couple of specific spots, like bridges where debris can sometimes get lodged and create a flood, or just to check certain key sandbagged areas. So, again, and then our public works teams during the day, our parks teams, we're all watching things, closing areas as needed, fixing areas as needed. And, you know, I do have to mention just the Creekside RV Park, because we've gotten some criticism over that, but there are two sides to that story.
This is where the power had to be cut because of the flooding there.
So it's an RV park. These are mobile homes. By code, to be in that section in RV park, they have to be movable. For 6 weeks, we've been working with the management and the residents, putting door hangers, telling them, I mean, some of them were there in 2011 when it flooded.
Yeah.
And we've been saying, it's coming. We advise that you move. And we also did the same thing with that group as we've done with other folks in the other areas along the river. We've said, if the city can't take care of private property.
Sure.
But we're happy to bring our sandbag or our trucks, empty sandbags. If you get a group of volunteers, we'll bring the truck and facilitate you filling sandbags. And also along the river in many ways, we had our engineering staff go put a stake in the yards where people, we got permission. If they wanted it, we staked where the 100-year flood line was.
Oh, so they could see.
Right, and then a little higher, just to give people a sense for how should I prepare?
That's a great
should I
idea.
be concerned? So we have tried to be really proactive in doing that. We knew this was going to be an area, and they did not take our advice to move.
And you can't leave the power on, right? Once there's 6 inches of water.
Again, that was affecting infrastructure, the sewer infrastructure, power, and we told them that, again, if water got to a certain level, that would be coming. So, we're sorry that, they're having problems, but, we've been trying to work with them for literally 6 weeks.
That is
to tell them to get prepared. So
this is something I've taken an interest in during this recent flood season throughout the state. But and I know Logan City has a couple, but there are certain areas where residents might see flooding where the flooding is expected and it's been planned for. In fact, that is an area that's intended to flood to stop it from happening where you don't want it to happen, right?
Exactly. And, Logan actually has we have lower flood insurance rates than many communities because we have this FEMA floodplain area, and we do have specific city areas, which, as you mentioned, are designed to flood in high water years, and it's areas that, it doesn't impact a building or infrastructure or things like that. So, and also
and then when it dries out, it's a park.
Right, exactly.
That is so cool to me.
And we did a lot of work a few years ago through Rendezvous Park because there had been flooding in the golf course. And actually the golf course is designed and managed as a wetlands area as well. We don't want it to flood, but we rerouted the river a little bit into kind of more of a natural meander as it used to be, which, again, allows the force of the river to dissipate. It allows the river to spread out. So we'll probably in the next few weeks get a test for that and see if it if it does what it was designed to do. Again, that section of trail from Main Street to First East through the River Walk, again, they kind of did a terraced area down to the river, so there's a lower gravel trail that when the river's low you can walk down close to the river, but then it also serves as a floodplain when there's higher water, and then the actual shared use path, the cement trail, is up higher out of the floodplain, and that will still be used. But there are some closures because of flooding. Where you go under 10th West there by Icon to head out to Trapper Park. I mean, Trapper Park is underwater now, and that trail, again, it just when there's really high water gets on the trail. So
and Trapper Park again, that's intentional, right? That's built as a kind of a storage area for it's really fascinating, and it speaks to how complicated managing all of this is because you never know when it's going to flood. You don't know which year is going to be. No one saw this snowpack coming after 2 years of the most severe drought, but the fact that it hasn't been catastrophic in
not
areas,
yet. I mean, again, the weather has really been pretty much ideal for because there is a lot of water coming down there. We have a lot of snow, and it's coming pretty fast. But again, if we can maintain these temperatures so they don't spike,
crossed,
maybe we
right?
can get through it. But the peak is still coming for the Logan River.
That's interesting. Fingers crossed, everyone out there, please. The temperature really does need to play along to let this play out on a bit of a slower basis, and we should be good. So speak to the mayor here on KVN News for the People. If you'd like to join us, still time for a question or two, 753-5868. And we'll be back right after this.
With this incredibly cold and wet winter, it's put everybody behind on lawn care services. Logan Extermination is ready to serve you. They offer the following services: outside bug spray from April to October for $65 per spray. Spray for weeds in your lawn as soon as possible for only $45 per 5,000 square feet. Don't forget, Logan Extermination can aerate your lawn to get airflow to combat the extra snow and moisture. Call Logan Extermination today. Logan Extermination, 752-8450.
Spring is finally sprung, and the baby animals at the American West Heritage Center are ready for visitors. May 26th, 27th, and 29th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Cuddle the cute and lovable farm animals. Visit Utah's petting zoo gone wild with their exotic furry friends. And this year only, experience the Cache Valley Mountain Man Rendezvous as part of the lineup. Wagon rides, historic demonstrations, food vendors, train rides, and so much more. Baby Animal Days Festival 2023 at the American West Heritage Center, Memorial Weekend.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Logan City Mayor Holly Daines and Logan City Recorder and Executive Secretary Teresa Harris have been our guests this hour. Cache County Executive David Zook will be joining us next hour for the County Hour, and we'll start things off with getting Mr. Zook to fill us in on this announcement that came just as the show started today, that the county is issuing an official proclamation declaring a state of emergency due to flooding to get those state funds opened up for the county. We'll talk about that in an hour or two. Just a few minutes left here with our guests this hour. And as you mentioned, Mayor, not really time to do this justice, but probably worth mentioning that people should keep an eye on the city website. There's an article that the city is going to be sharing there that speaks to a lengthy discussion that happened around something that came to a finish in ways with a vote at the city council meeting this week on a rezone for a development. But it's an example of, obviously this is going to come up again and again and again and again for every city in the valley. We're growing. A lot of changes are going to have to take place. We're going to have to grapple with new things. But this is an example of when you had opposing sides and a lot of disagreement, and in a space of what was more time than probably anyone wanted to take, but still not a couple of years, they were able to actually work this out and move ahead on a development that leaves everyone pretty satisfied.
I think so. Again, you never make everyone happy, but
Sure.
We worked through the neighborhood council, and I have to give a hand to Melissa Daly, the Woodruff neighborhood chair, because we went to her, and initially it was kind of no way, no how, but as we started to talk about the possibilities and how could, we went to the developer, how could they compromise, and they agreed to have some open space and to put a deed restriction that brought the number down to right between our NR4 and our NR6 neighborhood zoning is 4 houses to the acre or 6 houses to the acre. And we came up with a compromise. They kind of reduced the number of townhomes, but they're still mixed in with homes with different size lots, so people have different opportunities depending on their stage of life, their budget, and that sort of thing. So, again, I was pleased with the input we got from the neighborhood. The council makes the decision; it's their choice. But they listened to the neighbors, and we worked with them. And the neighborhood councils have been a good thing. And I'll just put a quick plug in. We have an Adams neighborhood meeting tomorrow night, held at the Adams School at 7 p.m. So if you're interested in getting involved in the Adams neighborhood, if you live in that area, please come, because those groups do make a difference, and we do want to hear from our citizens, and that's a specific way that they can do it. They have access to the mayor and council, and so
that's why I love this. This is an example of that. These neighborhood councils, community feedback, working with the developer, the city. They're sort of playing mediator, keeping the discussion going, and all of this. And we were able to go from when I first saw the opposition to this, I thought, well, that one's dead. And it went from that to, within a couple of months, a resolution where the council could approve something where compromise had happened on all sides, and the reality of needing new housing can move ahead.
Exactly. We need a place for our children to live.
It's good to see, and it's encouraging that this is possible. A lot of these changes hitting every city in the state, actually, not specific to Logan City by any means. Keep an eye on this one, and as the mayor said, they're going to be posting some of the reaction to this from the League of Cities and Towns, even using it as an example on the city website. That is our time. It went by fast. Thanks to both you, Mayor Daines, and you, Teresa, for taking the time to come in. Again, candidate filing period begins June 1st. So if you or anyone you know is interested in running for the 3 open city council seats in Logan during this municipal year, June 1st is when that starts, and it's a week-long filing period. After that, we'll know more about the election dates and schedule, depending on how many file. So keep an eye on that. LoganUtah.org for more information. And we'll be back. Cache County Executive David Zook joining us for the County Hour next here on KVNU Logan.